I am here with the author of Black Girls Breathing, Jasmine Marie. We're talking self care, we're talking generational healing, and so much more. Without further ado, hey, Jasmine, how are you?
Hi, how are you? I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me, Alyssa. It sounds like everyone that listens calls you Lissa.
Yes,
Okay,
100%.
okay. Love it.
So I'm very happy to have you on the podcast while reading Black Girls Breathing, Heal from Trauma, Combat Chronic Stress, and Find Your Freedom. I felt so much love through your pages and I felt so much care. Even just the first line in this book got me emotional while reading it in the bookstore, which is a whole story in itself, trying to
Yeah.
find your book. Oh my gosh. Girls, anyone listening, please check out your local bookstore, your local Barnes and Noble. Like, keep an eye out because this book's amazing. And after this episode, you're going to want to get your copy ASAP. But diving into that more, tell me a little bit more about you, Jasmine, and what got you to this point writing a book.
Yeah, so I began breath work. The book is based on not only my journey with breath work, but how I then formed an organization offering breath work as an accessible mental health tool to Black women. And I began breath work when I was stressed out working in New York City. I had graduated from college in New York, NYU Business School, and it was an underlying just understanding that you're going to be stressed. Like it's something that no one really pushed up against. It was if you want to be successful, you're going to be stressed. And I was a marketing and global business major. I wasn't a finance major. I had lots of friends who went into investment banking, and that was a whole other thing. I mean, a lot of health problems. You would hear about colleagues passing from the amount of stress that they were under working in investment banking. But just to give a view of the culture that was prominent going to school and then after. So when I was working in a corporate position, very stressful, brand management, global brand management position in hair care, I just started to experience different manifestations of stress and going to my doctor, they'd be like, this is stress. And I was in talk therapy at the time, but I didn't have the tools to navigate my body dealing with the stress. And that's what led me to breath work. I was volunteering at my church at the time's community center, and my pastor's personal breath worker, which is can just gives you a glimpse of the type of church I belong to. Very open. Had done free community sessions for the Harlem community, and I joined, and that's how I found the tool. And I just deepened my relationship with the tool over the years. It carried me through leaving corporate, starting my first business, that being a success in my definition at the time, starting a second business that failed, and then Black Girls Breathing, third. And so, with that work, the opportunity for a book came to be, and I wanted to share all that I've learned in offering this tool to thousands of Black women in book form and let it be a resource that one can continue to come back to. And I wanted it to embody the way in which I facilitate, which hearing, you all's feedback of how soft it felt, how you felt seen and held. And yes, we're going through very triggering topics, to be honest, heavy topics, but that there was still space where you felt held within that. And so that was my goal, to let that translate in book form. And that's how Black Girls Breathing, the book, came to be.
Mm. You say it so beautifully. I can tell you're a writer because as you're speaking, I'm just like, yeah, somebody get the drums, someone lower the lights. Like, this is a vibe. I'm here for it. If your book was a song, it would be like Your Love is King by Sade.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
the
What a
vibe.
beautiful,
It would be
wow.
the
Oh my
vibe.
gosh. I'm going to write that down. I'm going to write that down for later after we're done, just for me to reflect on. I've never heard anyone tell me like how the book felt in song form and like I
Mhm.
know how I feel when Sade comes on. So that that feels great. Thank you for that.
100%. It's like, I don't, as I was reading your book, I genuinely just felt that sense of calm. I only feel like I'm a Florida girly. So, like, going to the beach at night when there's no one around, like
Mm,
your local spot, the sand
yeah.
is nice and cool, the moon is up, like, you can hear the sounds from like nearby bars and things like that. But, like, when you're in your own little world, it's such a safe bubble. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like nothing can touch you. You're above it all. And like that's how it felt to be able to navigate as you're reading your book. It truly did feel very grounded reality of like, what
Yeah.
does it look like to genuinely be calm and take a breath?
Yeah.
The whole, I'm sure many people have heard of the movie like Waiting to Exhale. The hook
Mhm.
is that there's all these women who are going through all these different things and are waiting for that moment when they can finally reach that peak of happiness and like
Yeah.
calm. And
Yeah.
it doesn't, it happens for some and then some it doesn't.
Yeah.
And your book for me was that like that sense of nostalgia for like when you watch shows from the 90s or movies that you grew up with, or you see these black women who like have it all, the
Yeah.
career, the love, the looks. um the reality is that when we get older, like no one really has it all. Like everyone's navigating different things.
Yeah.
And while reading your book, it was like it really was like that Sade song where it's like, like you're grounded in your heart, like everything is going to be okay. Like your love really supersedes all the mess, if you will. It overshadows it all. Like you can move forward. Um, you slow down in a
Mhm.
good way. And
Yeah.
I loved it. That was my experience reading it. Even though you do have to touch on like heavier things in order to get to that space, it's worth it because it gives you tools. I love it. Felt like it gave you like really helpful tools. And it was so short. I flew through your book like that. Like I
Yeah.
have reread it and I flew through it mad fast.
Yeah.
So and I love the audiobook too. I have the physical copy and I have the audiobook.
Oh,
So
awesome.
we gotta tag team it.
Yay.
Moving aside from me being a fangirl, what stories or what books built up your love for reading and how did that
Oh.
kind of tie into your ability to write?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so okay, so growing up, I was an accelerated reader. Did you all have that program? Okay.
Yeah.
I was an accelerated reader, and when I tell you I was in elementary school, like constantly battling for the first and second spot. So they had this huge contest in my elementary school. I ended up second place. I think I lost to like an upper grader, like a fifth grader, and I was in the third grade. But and also my love for reading comes from my mom because she was, she taught reading and also a literacy coach. So she would go around to Title I schools and teach teachers how to better help their
Mm.
students learn to read. And so she infused into me reading along with my grandfather. So, oh my God, I'm like thinking that I don't think anyone's ever asked me that before. And now that it is, all these different moments are coming up. But my grandfather never got, racism stole opportunity for my grandfather to live out his dreams. And so he was the supervisor at a power plant. However, he would always get the paper every morning and he'd read and then he would like write his insights and thoughts and he's even did some op-eds that got featured in the paper. And so early I just reading was always the gateway to explore, to ensure that you exercised your critical thought, you could create change. That's the way that reading was introduced to me growing up. And my mom made it a priority. And I also just loved being able to travel. I'm very like, color minded, right? Like my mind, I'm very imaginative. So reading fed that for me very early on. I'll never forget, like, I grew up in the church and my mom was just loved me reading, okay? And this was before the whole Harry Potter, like the church was like, Harry Potter, but my mama got me every single book, okay? And it wasn't a thing in our household because it was like, she likes to read, it's a book. Like, let it be a book. Let her mind go somewhere. But I remember like the entire like hoopla, in the church around Harry Potter and sorcery and stuff. And my mom was like, she got all of the books now. But for me, very young, reading was important. And also, like, I always read more creative fiction. And so I even say now, like, I don't read much nonfiction because my work is so much of like wellness and tips. And I don't like to be influenced. Like, a lot of the hot nonfiction books that are out and have been out for many years, especially when I was writing, I didn't read because I didn't want to be influenced by anyone else's work. I wanted to bring through what was truly coming within me. And so, but I see that you have sugar and is that sugar and spice or is that sugar and spice?
Honey and Spice,
Sweet heat,
yes.
sweet heat. I just finished the whole honey and spice, sweet heat. Like I love a good story.
Mm.
And that influences me. And I just finished James, and right now I am reading Ken by
Yep.
Terry Jones. Oh my gosh. And I had to run to my local bookstore because they had the last signed copy, and she actually lives here in Atlanta as well. But I love a good novel. And so that's the type of work that I'm reading in order
Mm.
to write. And it allows my mind to picture the color and the description and just taps into that. And it's the very mechanisms of which I'm writing nonfiction, because
Mm.
healing work is very imaginative in ways, right? Like, you're not at that place, but how do you get to this place? Like, how do you see yourself in a different situation that you are in now? And then my goal is to fill in the holes of how you get there with the steps. Um, but yeah, creative work and creative fiction really influence my writing to date. And I also believe in, this is something that, like, I feel like with a lot, when it comes to writers, and I've been in certain groups, right? There are those that like think if it's not, it doesn't have the PhD prowess, that it's not, you know, acclaimed writing or what have you. And for me, I believe that we should all have access to be given language to feelings and thoughts that we may not have had. And so for me, it's like I want the work to be accessible to someone who may not be reading on an 11th grade, 12th grade level. I do. I also want the work to be digestible. And so I think that, like, sometimes we think if it's not thou and all of that that it's not good work. And I want to challenge that. I want to challenge our thinking and how that can be very classist, if you can be real. Like, not every, okay, if someone who doesn't have an advanced education, do they not deserve to have the language and words to better themselves? And so, anyways, I can go on and on about that, but I think I answered that question.
I think you answered that question beautifully. I do think that the ability to go into higher education is a massive privilege that's
Yeah,
blocked by a paywall.
yeah,
Not everyone is able to take out a massive loan or wants to.
yeah,
It's not a lack of passion for knowledge.
yeah.
It's a financial decision. Not everyone wants to do that or can.
Yeah,
I love, Jasmine, that you touched on that and the importance of everyone should be able to read and appreciate knowledge. It should not be blocked by this
yeah,
wall of, you know, floral wording just to
yeah,
be massive,
yeah,
or it has to be cited by 3,000 different academic articles.
yeah,
Um, when it discusses elements of self care, which does go hand in hand with discussions of trauma,
yeah,
navigating mental health, navigating world events, things
yeah,
beyond our control.
yeah,
I feel like your book, in a lot of ways, to me, instead of it being a buffet of a million different topics on how to heal all these different topics,
yeah,
for me, it felt more like a designed meal
mm,
where each plate was brought out to you, each topic was brought out to you,
mm,
and you were also provided with the resources and the tools so that you could understand each ingredient, understand how this is making you feel and what
mm,
you want to do with those feelings and how you
yeah,
want to implement that in your own life. It was
yeah,
broken down in a way that was incredibly accessible. And for someone who sometimes needs to understand things, I need anecdotes, I need metaphors, I need stories. I
mhm,
appreciated how your book really did provide that breath
mhm,
of life,
mhm,
and it's very rare to find books like that. And I just feel like Black Girls Breathing provided a discussion of trauma that didn't feel triggering while trying to solve and help with a universal problem.
yeah,
And I really appreciated that, because sometimes some of these books I've read, which are heavy on citations and academic discussion and studies, um, all those facts kind of took away from the topic at hand or the
yeah,
lesson. It
yeah,
kind of got buried under all the statistics,
yeah,
and I never lost track of what you were trying to say.
yeah.
And I love that. I absolutely love that. It
Mm,
was so beautifully written. And I'm like waiting for your next project. And I'm just,
thank
you could
you.
write your grocery list and I would be like, Oscar, what are we doing? What's going on? So good. I cannot wait to read Kin. I'm just mentally and emotionally preparing for it because I'm sitting here and I've seen people post photos of them crying and I'm like, oh,
I'm one chapter in. It's just the first page.
I'm sitting here and I'm like, I know the writing's going to be beautiful, but
Yes.
is it going to emotionally destroy me? And then I
It's
look at people's eyes, they're like, no. I'm like, yes or no? I'm like, why are you lying right now? I'm a
it's
crybaby. I need you
beautiful.
to tell
Yeah.
me if it's going to like wreck me, you know?
Yeah. The
I need to
narrative is so
know.
good right now. I'm like 2 chapters in, so
Okay.
should
All
be
right. All right. I'm following you.
yeah.
I know I'm going to read it. I just get so scared because whenever someone recommends me a book, I always end up getting emotional. And I'm just sitting here and I'm like, there's not enough Kleenexes in the world, honey. Like I'm getting destroyed here. My next question for you is what does feeling grounded and centered mean to you?
Mm. It's my 0 point. It's my 0 point. It's what I need on a daily. Like I'm constantly in search of that place. I don't It's hard for me to function without finding some kind of center in the beginning of my day. It's a way that I also ensure that I'm aligned. You know, making decisions from that frantic standpoint or just feeling out of whack usually has never worked well for me, right? And so it is the place from which I operate and I aim to always come back to because life is not always, I'm not always feeling grounded. Even through hard moments, I'm finding grounding maybe with my breath or I'm reminding myself like my body is still here, I'm here, you know? So it's a place that I'm always in practice with to come back to. I think about a lot of the work we do with wellness, with self help as a practice, and it's a way to not become anxious about the anxiety because what tends to happen is like you've got the anxiety, but now because you have this very strict way of how you're supposed to operate and feel grounded, then you get anxious about the fact that you're anxious and it just is like that's no good for me, like where does it end here? And so it's the place that I'm always in practice of trying to get back to and operate from. Yeah.
Mm, I love that. It's like kind of returning back, like full
Yeah.
circle, finding
Yeah.
yourself again. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you a little bit about what are some tools that help you stay grounded and
Mm.
how did those inspire your book, which you kind of
Yeah.
touched on a little bit.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting? Just like that practice shifts based on who I'm becoming, who I'm evolving into. And so lately, I've been so intentional since January, very intentional about movement daily. I love how it feels to have a daily practice of movement. So
Mm,
not only like 10K steps, but like I've really gotten back into a flow of more of a classical Pilates. I used to do more of a strength training type and it would jack up my cortisol because it's kind of like hit and so it's like that wasn't working well for my body, but getting to practice, getting to class, being in connection with other people, that has been so grounding for me right now. That is a tool that I've been leaning into. Just eating well for my body, being grateful. I mean, with all that's going on in the country, like, no, I'm thanking God for the lime that I got that says it's from Mexico. Like, thank you, Mexico. Thank you for the avocado this month because there was a gap in supply like
mm-hmm.
earlier in the year. Me and my mom were like, what's going on with the avocados? Because we would go to every store and they were all like overly ripe. And I was like, something's going on with our supplies. Like, it makes these little things. You making an avocado, toast, or I put mine on a rice cake. Um, that little moment in the morning is because of relationships, external foreign relationships that made it okay, made it
I,
happen. Like I'm just grateful for every little thing in my life, especially produce. I'm even gardening right now, and that's been a part of my grounding process. Literally getting my hands in some dirt and seeing that process. I planted some okra, cilantro, and jalapenos last week, so I'm excited about that. And then I'm gonna do some cucumbers in the next little row over. But those are the things that feel grounding to me now. And of course, the breath is always there for me. I'm someone who uses it constantly, and it's definitely become integrated just in my life. But being kind to myself about being, and also being curious about what each chapter looks like as far as how do I ground myself, because it is different. After 2025, I realized I need another new set of tools because we're just getting hit. We're bombarded a lot more right now. And I need a deeper set of tools How am I combating the stress in my life consistently that I'm exposed to? So, those are my new set of tools: movement through Pilates, gardening, my walks, communion with other friends, all the things. So, yeah.
Oh, I absolutely adore that. I actually just found a girl on YouTube who she does yoga stretches, but she has like an R&B, like chill soundtrack in the
Ooh.
background. Very
Excuse
cool.
me.
Oh, bless you.
Thank you.
But she's absolutely amazing. And I think it's one of those things where like you don't realize that you need something until you go out and you find it and you're like, oh, this hits the spot. Like this is
Yeah.
exactly what I need after a crazy busy day. Oh, her name is Yoga with Romney. So it's
Mm-hmm.
yoga with Ramoni. She's on YouTube. And she's like a 10-minute stretch R&B playlist. And she like
Oh, I love
walks
that.
you through the yoga, which is great.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, it's yoga with Ramoni on YouTube. I will make sure to link her in the show notes below because I love what she does. It's very calming for me.
Yeah.
And I think she has one for like yoga at your desk at work, yoga
Yeah.
like I think in bed as well. Like if it's more accessible for you to be on the mattress, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
I
So
love
I just had to
that.
share that. I love a good workout as much as the next girl, but like I also really appreciate the ability to just like find something to slow down.
Yeah.
For me, stress feels like speeding up,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the movie is on like fast forward.
Yeah.
And then when you look up, the day's over.
Yeah.
And there's a sadness that comes with that, and this sense of like, were you productive enough? And for anyone who's ever taught to like have a list of like all the things you need to do, or
Mm-hmm.
there's so many hours in the day, or this grind culture, it's very heavy on productivity. What did you create? What did you accomplish? And then your self worth becomes tied to your
Yeah.
accomplishments, which is a
Exactly.
dangerous thing when you're not succeeding according to your views.
Yeah.
So I'll get once again a lesson learned from your book. For
Oh,
me was like all those feelings and all those thoughts are valid. They're real, but stress has a physical effect on you, a mental effect on you, and
mm-hmm.
it's okay and it's worth it. The same way kids take recess for school or people have lunch breaks, it is okay to take a step back and be like, let's do some breath work. Put your hand on your chest, like let's find a way to slow down because you deserve it. You deserve a minute to like catch your breath,
Yeah.
and go back to ground zero. And that's such an important thing. Which brings me to my next deeper question for
Yeah.
you. What are 5 words you would use to describe your book, Black Girls Breathing, and why?
Ooh, this is good. Look at this. These are
Mm-hmm.
great questions. Oh my gosh.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Um,
Mm-hmm. I was like, let her cook.
yeah, I'm gonna some of these words are what I intended, and then
Okay.
maybe some words of what this book has been for me. So, okay, so warm,
Mhm.
life-changing,
Okay. We got 3 more. The pressure is getting worser and worser.
um,
Mhm.
I'm trying to think of a word that describes just kind of like this shift for me, the personal shift of who I am, who I was when writing the book, and who I became after. Um,
Ooh, like growth, like blooming.
okay, we
Okay,
could,
gardening.
yeah,
It all comes full
let's
circle.
say growth. Well, no, take it back. Um, there's a word that begins with an I,
Mm.
maybe, that.
I feel like I'm in Scrabble.
Yeah.
I.
Okay, wait, take back the I. I can find a different word. Um,
Like
shift. Let's
incline.
put shift. Can we do
Okay,
like hyphen inner shift? Inner shift is one.
got it.
Inner shift. Two more. Ancestral. Yeah, ancestral. And So I just want to say love. Love is coming up for me. So loving.
Hmm.
I just want to say that.
Listen, I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I
This
absolutely adore.
birth
Like I said,
for
your
my
love is
love
king.
of Black women. Yes. So,
Yes, it. I love
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Why did you choose ancestral?
So I'm not someone who desires to have kids. So I think about there were several steps needed for me to even like be here to birth this book, and so if I go back like most recent, my grandmother is still living, a sharecropper in Miami, Mississippi. This is the town that Emmett Till was killed, just to give you a feeling of where she grew up and had to navigate that world,
Mm.
and left when she was 15 and had malaria and was on a bus, like, and refused to get up. She's sick and she's like, I need to sit down. I need to sit down.
Wow.
And then she also said, like, people would say, like, oh, all the Black people had to sit down. She was like, no, we always had to stand. Like, there was never any sitting in her world. Like, in that town, you always stood. It didn't matter if there was a seat or not, you could not sit. Um,
Mm.
so so her being brave enough to leave and find a life in Chicago, and she meets my grandfather, and my grandfather is the one who he saw something in me. Like there was just a braveness and fierce and courageousness within me that he affirmed very early on. And he told my mom, like, it was actually around reading. Like, he was like, you can't read that book. And I was like, I can too. And he was like, read it. And I started reading. He was like, I guess she can read. And then she told him, like, don't ask if she can do whatever she says she's going to do. And so he just affirmed that for me growing up. And so through all of their individual choices of persevering, I came to be. My mom grew up in the civil rights era, like just persevering through that. The fact that, the other day I was saying how like I like having a mom I can brag on, like, oh, my mom, she's also an interpreter. She's signed for Barack Obama, and my aunt calls and she's like, I'm looking for someone who knits and crochets, and I didn't realize your mom did. And like she was talking to the teacher and they're like, you need to Wanda does. And I was like, yeah, my mom's crocheted and knitted her entire coats and long sweaters. And it's just like, wow, like to think that you were born to a sharecropper and you went on to have advanced degrees and to do all these amazing first, and with no one to really show you that path. And then, I was unexpected baby. They already had their perfect boy and girl, and I came through like 7 years later. But just all those different steps, like this was not just my own birthing. This was a birthing of many generations of women who took a first step and decided to do something courageous. And so, through that lineage and that example, I can act and step upon those shoulders and do something like this. So this book, it births from that. Yeah.
Oh, it's like it's as you were speaking, it's almost like when you see someone going up a step and they slip and then someone catches them
Yeah.
and the next person catches them and then before you know
Yeah.
it, you're on the next step and then
Yeah.
you're in this way with your workshops and all the things that you do with all these women, what they're navigating through, you're also helping them up those steps
Yeah.
because your mom and your grandma helped you and your grandpa helped you. And
Mhm.
now you through your own actions are now birthing this creation that is going to help so many people beyond even your lifetime. Like someone's going to pick up this book years and years and years from now and find resources and tools because of what you did and what the women in your life and what your grandpa and everyone who believed in you poured into you. Now your work is going to pour into other people.
Mhm.
That's eternal. That's
Yeah.
eternal. Books are that powerful, truly,
Yeah. Wow.
so
Like,
that's
wow.
amazing.
I don't even think I've thought that far into the future of like, yeah, wow, wow.
Yeah, your books are going to be in libraries and you're going to look back and it's like there's so many books that you see getting, shared in schools, shared in book clubs.
Yeah.
You see women whose moms read books in high school who now they are reading these books in high school themselves 10, 20 years later.
Yeah.
Um Books are like little bottles of time and then you can experience that 20 years, 30 years into the future, 10 years in the past. Like
Yeah.
everyone can read the same story and experience and feel different things. I
Yeah.
think it's amazing that ancestrally now your family has poured into you
Mm.
And now you've given that magic and you've poured into something else that's going to help so
Mm.
many people. If
Wow.
that's not ancestral and if that's not familial and what
Mm.
people are able to create, I don't know what is.
Mm.
Something that outlives you,
Yeah.
a legacy.
Yeah.
That's a very
Wow.
good legacy.
Wow. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if the musical girly in me, I wouldn't be a real nerd if I didn't layer that puppy. But like Hamilton said in the musical, like you plant seeds in a garden you never get to see. You're
Hmm.
very lucky if you get to see them,
Yeah.
So to some extent, you're seeing all these things you've done in your book and how your story, everyone who reads this is going to experience something different. You're
Yeah.
planting these seeds and now you're going to see them bloom. But
Yeah.
now, even when you're older and you've experienced so much life, someone else is going to pick up this book and read it for the first time.
Mm.
And that's so cool. That's so
Wow.
cool.
Wow. Yeah.
Yes. Me. Well, yes. So it's just so
Wow.
exciting.
Thank you.
Um,
Yeah.
I loved it. I will say though, like when I think of a book from the very first chapter, like I do not have a great memory. But when it comes to books, your girl can read. Your girl
Mhm.
can comprehend, read between the lines. What do the curtains colors mean? When I read the first chapter of your book, Black Girls Breathing's first chapter touches on your experience with making your intentions known and your
Mm.
goals for this movement of self-care and grounding practices for women.
Mm.
And what did that process of writing this book feel like? How long did it take? And how does it feel being out in the world?
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, oh boy.
10
So
years.
I'm okay. So before I answer that question, do you agree that you felt like the book was well written?
Hell yeah.
Okay, it's 10
Pardon my
weeks.
French. Yes.
10 weeks. So I wrote
10
that book in
weeks.
10 weeks, wrote and edited. So, and it came out of, and I'm like hesitant to share that because it came out of necessity and a lot of trauma. So initially my publisher was like, work with the collaborator. So work with the collaborator. I wrote my own book proposal. But I was still running the organization and they're like, maybe you should work with a collaborator who you'll just narrate. So we would meet every Friday and I'd narrate what I'd want in each chapter, use this example, da, 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 and then we'd clean it up or whatever.
Mm.
And it was just a disaster. And like a lot of betrayal of me providing, I was very intentional. A lot of the collaborators they had given as an example in self-help, they're white. There are not a lot of black, self-help collaborators. And so I was very intentional around providing someone with an opportunity. And it was a black man, and he it was just awful. And just another example of the type of stuff we had to deal with out in the world, like misogyny, not really listening to what I'm saying needs to go in my own book, a lot of defiance. It was crazy. And so ended up, he didn't deliver, didn't perform. And so started from scratch. Like I planned to take that December, and that was the year I was dealing with a lot of health issues too, due to chronic stress. I was expected to take off the last 2 weeks of December. I ended up powering through and writing through that. And so we had like this fast track deadline. So instead of it being more relaxed as far as like, all right, editing process starts, then we choose a book cover. Yeah, then we do this, and it's so nice, it's like, oh, all of that happened at one time in order for us to meet our publishing deadline. And
Mm.
so, but I knew, and I remember my uncle, around that time, I was like, just disappointed. And he was like, I was like, I was always supposed to write this book. Like, I feel like, I don't know, maybe they thought I was going to be too busy with work and they still wanted the timeline, but I was always supposed to write this book. I'm a writer, right? Like, um, and so, yeah, in 10 weeks time, it was a very stressful process writing this book. Um, a lot of challenges, but it flowed from me because I had, I knew what each chapter was going to be about. I have, and so it flowed from me. And looking back, and so now that I'm writing now for another project, and there's this little table stand thingy that I had in my at the time where I used to live, my apartment, and I would go there, like wake up, start at like 4 a.m., just start writing, And then I had these hacks to make my brain creative and to drop into this flow state. So I got into candle making, like tapping into my creative mind before, like if I had to write long periods, I just like a hackathon, like how do you hack your body so it can tap into this space? And candle making was that for me, right? So I would go on walks, like start making candles, get my mind really creative, and then start writing again, right? And so yes, I wrote this book in 10 weeks versus it was 7 month process of us meeting every Friday and me narrating all that I wanted in each chapter. Use this example, use this, like, um, but I, did it in 10 weeks.
10 weeks. Wow. I will say that it's going to sound random, but it does connect. The way that people, what they hear and what they understand are two very different things.
Mm,
It feels like a game of telephone.
mm,
I have definitely been guilty of this. What you heard someone say and what they literally meant, and the
mm,
translation of that can be incredibly difficult
mm,
for anyone. There was a book I read about the art of listening
mm,
and communication. And it was one of the first books I ever read where I was like, oh my gosh, some people genuinely think that they are so intelligent that whatever you said, they interpret it in a different way. Like
yeah,
they transcribe it in their mind. They're like, you don't mean that. It's like, I meant what I said. Like I said what I
yeah,
meant.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and it's one of those things where a lot of people are, while you're speaking, they are thinking of their response,
mm,
but not receiving what was said. And
yeah,
I do think that there's a heavy inclination of when people of color speak, especially Black women, it doesn't matter who they're speaking to, they will, there will always be someone in the corner who will explain what we said, and they will try to explain it in a completely different way,
yeah,
or they'll explain the feelings that they may not understand away,
yeah,
or what you saw wasn't really what you saw, what you felt isn't really what you felt.
yeah,
And it doesn't matter how intelligent you are, it's dismissive, and it can be, it can make you feel so small.
yeah,
No matter what degree you have, what you get paid, what you look like, how old you are, it never feels good to pour your heart out and someone be like, oh, that was so deep. And
yeah.
it's like, well, it was a lot of things. It was a lot
Mm,
of things. And that's
mm,
okay. But let's not explain away all the work and all the courage it takes to share
mm,
something with someone.
mm.
And then when you do feel understood, it's like thank you.
Yeah, yeah,
Even to admit, hey, I don't understand that. But
yeah,
I'm grateful you shared that with me.
yeah,
Even that, even
yeah,
that.
yeah,
I think it's amazing you were able to craft this amazing story and this resource for other people in 10 weeks. I
yeah.
think that it's amazing you experienced challenges and hurdles,
Mm,
and you took all of that magic and you took all of that time and all that love and all that care and all that faith, and you created something
mhm,
amazing on your own.
thank
That's
you.
wonderful. You
Thank
didn't give
you.
up. And that's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. Also, candle making. Okay, practical magic. I'm here
Right?
for it. All right, crafty.
Well,
I
and
love
I'm
that.
always like, and luxury candle making because I like to make my gifts for friends and people in my
That's
life.
cool.
And so I'm like, no, no, no. I use apricot and coconut wax. Like I'm
Ooh,
using more richer waxes. So
I love that. I love a good candle as much as the next girl. I have a cat. He's my co-host, Sir Midnight. He is on my lap as we speak. For folks watching on YouTube, you'll see like a set of black ears in the corner, like a green eye. He's laying on my lap and he is smelling your book. He loves, but I always am looking for candles that are like pet safe, especially for an older animal. They
mhm,
Animals are so sensitive.
yeah,
I think it's cool that you have a creative outlet that allowed you to hone in on your writing
yeah,
and create something so amazing. I have a few more questions for
yeah,
you. Generational stress and health issues go hand in hand in this book. How is the process of writing about your own stress and health impactful?
yeah.
And what would you like to tell listeners about stress and how you recommend navigating that?
Yeah. I would say honestly, it was a bit triggering to write about those topics in just the sense of recalling the exposure to other people's stress that I've experienced in this work and how heavy that secondary stress can feel like to constantly be hearing about, other
Mm,
people's hardship. And so that part was heavy. to talk and write about the stress. But what I would like for people to know about stress is one, I want to take away the shame for you experiencing it, right? So, in sometimes, like I mentioned, I think in our previous conversation, like the anxiousness upon the anxiousness, like you're anxious and then you're anxious about being anxious, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
stress, you've experienced it, like so much of that is systemic. It's designed as people of color, Black people, Black and brown people, having us in these heightened states allows their agenda to flourish, right? When we're heightened, we can't organize, we can't strategize, we don't have the energy to do so. We stay within the despair loop that is perpetuated. And so I'd like for people to not feel shame about the stress that they're experiencing, get curious around it, and think of your opportunity to add in, because I don't want to say like unlearn, because that just sounds like more work. Add in tools, daily tools that can combat that stress, that you can lean into, that you can be consistent with, right? And that can be tiny. And so the biggest hurdle that's going to come up is your mind's narrative around anything adding new. So when you're in a frazzled, chronic stressed state, your brain will likely give you a narrative around you don't have time. And so there's even an exercise in the book that challenges this with anytime you say you don't have time, set the time, set your timer. Like give your brain new data. Give it something else. Give it another data point to go back to when it surfaces. I don't have time. So I don't have time to juice. Some juicing makes me feel good. It gives me more energy. Okay, set a timer. Oh, it took me 26 minutes from start to finish to juice and clean up. Do you have 26 minutes in your day? I do. I was scrolling TikTok for a while. I was doing this. I have that time. So it could be walking. Like I need that walk. It helps me decompress during the day. Do I like, oh, I don't have time. I've got so much. Do you have 15 to 20 minutes? I can make that time. I have it. How can I reallocate? So, those are the things I would most want to, not to say stress, most want to emphasize about stress is just reducing, the shame around it, being curious with how you can combat it, and adding
Mm.
in habits that can be repeatable and sustainable for you. And this involves a sense of curiosity, right? I want you to be curious because you're learning you. I can give you some examples of how to find those tools, but at the end of the day, you're going to have to be exploring within yourself. So, allowing yourself to be curious and then lean into that and then combat those narratives with different data points.
Wow. The perfect answer. Amazing. I absolutely loved the practices and breathwork exercises that you underline in your book.
Mhm.
And I wanted to ask you, as we're kind of closing in on this episode, if you can tell me your favorite quote from Black Girls Breathing for listeners.
Ooh, my favorite quote.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get the book. I don't know if I
Yeah.
have one. Everything's my
You
If
read
it
it
made
all.
it, it was my favorite.
Yeah, I'm sitting here
You
and I'm
know
like,
what's my favorite? I have it. It is the dedication. It says that is my favorite part of the book because that was, and it says to mom, thank you for your sacrifices. I love you dearly. And just speaking about the ancestral like pattern of this work being come, my mom sacrificed so much for me to even have the experiences I did growing up. I mean, I don't know how she did it. When I look back, I'm like, how in the world did you accomplish, getting us as exposed as we were, involving us in many hobbies, and just making sure we were well rounded. That would be my favorite quote. Outside of the other, unless you want, let's do another one. Let's do one more. Yes, the
come on,
dedication,
let's
but
do
let's
it.
see. Honestly, um, okay, well, this is coming from write the vision, make it plain was something I really wanted for people to like hone in on and how it connected to me, and then how it will influence them. So that last sentence there is, and I hope that through your own healing, you will write the vision of the possibilities for your life and make it plain. And so, yeah.
Absolutely amazing. My favorite quote is also from the beginning.
Yeah.
You have to start at the beginning, but it's amazing. It's absolutely wonderful. Your book brought me so much joy and tears and healing. And I will be sending a copy to my mom for her birthday
Oh,
and slash Mother's Day. Um, if she's listening, I love you. Obviously, you're awesome. Favorite kid from your favorite kid. I do have siblings, but I mean, we all know who steers this ship. But I'm also the only girl, so I'm just sitting here and I'm like, we the oldest. Come on, come on, come on. But I will say that like your book truly did feel like a hug after a good cry. Like you feel better.
mm,
It hurt, but you're gonna be happy about it. Like I felt
yeah.
I genuinely felt so much like care. It genuinely felt like a trust fall, not like the Mean Girls, but like the good trust fall, where like someone
Mm,
catches you. Very good.
yeah.
And I wanted to ask, what words of affirmation do you have for folks who are listening right now?
Ooh, I want, if I close my eyes and just think about maybe someone who may be navigating job loss or despair from the state of the world, navigating a chapter of uncertainty, I would just say, we need you here. Stay, stay and take it a day at a time. And you are worthy. We need you. And to just stay. Yeah, stay.
That is absolutely beautiful. And it's a wonderful way to end the episode. I have my favorite quote from your book,
Yay.
which I try to like always keep my stuff to myself when it comes to my favorite quotes because I found that like I'm like, oh, can you spoil an amazing book? You can. And I have episodes like that. But this one I was like, like you have to go on this journey, y'all. And one of my favorite quotes from your book is actually also from the beginning. And it was, those early experiences showed me the power of spaces that act as a refuge for Black bodies. What we would feel, experience, and witness in church for those 2+ hours on Sunday mornings would affirm and encourage us in ways the world never could. Here we were safe and seen. Here we envisioned futures of brighter tomorrows, worshiped with joy, and had our hope restored. And I loved how you had a place to feel safe. And for
Mm,
anyone, if that's the bookstore for you or with a close friend or your school or with your partner, your home, like
yeah,
wherever that safe space is for you to kind of refill your cup, I really do hope that everyone who's listening has that space. I hope you have that space, Jasmine. The
yeah,
world is so chaotic,
yeah,
and sometimes our own bodies feel chaotic, and having a physical place to go, your car, a
yeah,
park, a place where you feel genuinely safe is priceless.
yeah.
And when I read, you can mentally go to a space. But for some folks, listening to the audiobook from your collection is important. Listening to this podcast may be a way to experience that until they can get a copy.
Mhm.
And of course, I will link your book in the show notes below so folks can grab their copies ASAP because I cannot keep loaning out my book to every person I see. I need to keep it for myself.
Yeah.
What should everyone keep an eye out for you? How can they support you, and where can they find you?
Yeah, so a few things. Grab the book. Special bonus points if it's the physical copy. If it's the audiobook, get whatever you need. If you don't have the resources to buy it, the book is available in over 360 US public library systems, so it's likely in your library. If it's checked out, request more copies. Ask for the audiobook, like that counts. And so I want as many people to have their hands on this and these resources in these times as much as possible. You can follow the work of Black Girls Breathing. You can follow me on that girl underscore J Marie. Now, here's something, I will be more active soon. I've taken my cocoon and I've been reshaping what it means to show up online. Um, but we have our emails that go out, our Black Girls Breathing emails that go out every Sunday at 11 a.m. So you can log on to blackgirlsbreathing.com and sign up for our email list and get other goodies there weekly from me. So, in addition to the book. So, super grateful to be here. This won't be the last time that you will hear from me and Alyssa. And
It will not.
I'm excited to stay in touch and just I appreciate so much your promotion of the book, your own feedback of the book. If you all read it and like it, go to Goodreads. I don't know what's going on over there, okay? Like, I'm like, What's going on?
Listen, you got Storygraph, you've got
Yes,
Fable,
you've got Storygraph. You
Amazon.
have, yes, leave your reviews, leave them where people look. It's just crazy because I feel like they're like bots get, or not like, but like people who definitely feel a way about seeing a book for Black people on Goodreads, just leaving like pulling scores down. So it's not too terrible, but it could be higher. But anyways, leave your reviews wherever. And yeah, super appreciate this conversation. I can't wait to listen back to this conversation. And yeah, thank you so much for the invite again.
Thank you for coming. Everyone, please grab a copy of Black Girls Breathing. Also, like take reviews with a grain of salt. Some of my favorite books have
Yeah.
crazy bad
I know.
reviews from people who you could tell they didn't even read it. But it's one of those things where it's like, as Sierra said, like the higher you get, the more people are praying for you to fall. They want you to fall. There's an
Yeah.
enjoyment of that. And I think it's important to pour into amazing authors like Jasmine Marie. This book is a tool, it's helpful, it's useful, like the episode from Facts and Fables, Love Those Girlies Down. You can enjoy a story even if it was not specifically written for you. There
Mm,
are lots of, we read about dragons, we read about wizards, we read about
mm,
villains, we read about all sorts of evil people, crazy people, good people, and
mm,
we have no problem with that. But the moment it links to Black women or someone from a different race, everyone's up in arms. Everyone loved Yellowface. Everyone was down for Fourth Wing. I don't see anybody on a dragon tonight. Like, that's my thing. Like, let's take a step back. Let's take it with a grain of salt. You can enjoy a story and love it, and then pass it off to a friend who this may relate to. You can gain something magical and important and special from this story. Don't be afraid to read a book that may call to you or unlock something inside. Like,
mm.
you will come out with a glass half full. You will. It's perspective. And it's a beautiful one. And I'm so grateful to have had your time, Jasmine. Thank you for everyone who listened. Truly, check this out. Add it to your TBR. Grab it. Read it anytime this year. Listening on YouTube or Spotify, you can like it on YouTube. You can subscribe. You can follow on Spotify. Leave a nice little rating. And check this out and leave a nice little rating and a little review there as well. Be kind and have an absolutely wonderful day, y'all. I will see you later.
Bye.
Bye.